Hello guys, how we doing? Hope everyone is well. Now today we're going to be taking a little preview for the weekend's Bundesliga action, seeing how it affects the fantasy and just seeing what sort of games you've got lined up. So let's get straight into it. So to start us off for this weekend game, we've actually got a Friday game. It's quite nice to have a bit of football on a Friday, relax, chill in the evening, watch a bit of football. So to start us off on a Friday, we've got a 7:30 kickoff, which is the Berlin derby. We've got Hertha Berlin home to Union Berlin. It's a shame for both sets of fans, as I think this is the first time Union Berlin have actually been up in the Bundesliga, and so they definitely would have wanted to catch this one along with the Hertha Berlin. So it's a shame that the fans can't go, along with all the games really, but just the way football is now. Be interesting to see how this game goes. Hopefully the derby lives up to the anticipation around it. Then on Saturday we come to the 2:30 kickoff. So we start off with Sporting Freiburg versus Werder Bremen. I watched Werder Bremen at the weekend and they didn't really look too good. It was against a very good Leverkusen side, and Werder Bremen made a few decent chances. However, their defending was quite poor, so maybe some Freiburg options might be on the cards. So next we go to Paderborn versus Hoffenheim. Paderborn right down there at the bottom of the table. Hoffenheim not doing too great either, struggling a little bit for form after coming back after the break. Hertha Berlin sweeping them aside 3-0 in last weekend's fixtures, so this will be an interesting one. The 3 points very much needed for both teams. Then we get to one of the biggest games of the weekend. Borussia Mönchengladbach and Leverkusen will both be they'll both be saying that they're in for title contenders really this season. Mönchengladbach I think are third, and they're only a few points off Borussia Dortmund, who are only a few points off of Bayern Munich. So it'll be a good one. And Leverkusen, obviously, they're also going for Champions League spots. So this should be a very good game. Then we get to Wolfsburg versus Dortmund. I think most people here will be anticipating that Dortmund should really sweep aside Wolfsburg, as they did Schalke last weekend with that 4-0 victory. So getting into the second half of fixtures, on Saturday the late kickoff is Bayern Munich versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, really, we're just expecting another win here for Bayern Munich. I watched them in the weekend; they looked okay. Maybe their clinicalness wasn't quite there, but they scored a couple of goals. They got the win, and that's all that's really needed. It wasn't quite the sweeping aside of the sort of 5 or 6-0 I'd expected it to be against Union Berlin, who really did hold their own. This should be another pretty simple game for Bayern Munich, and they should sweep them aside. Now this Schalke Augsburg game is an interesting one, because after watching Schalke play against Dortmund, they didn't look like great. So maybe Augsburg, maybe it's a good time to play Schalke for Augsburg, or just pick them apart a little bit. Maybe we see a surprise win here for Augsburg. Then we get to Mainz versus Leipzig. Mainz at the weekend coming back to draw 2-2 against Cologne. It was a very good game, watch that one. And then Leipzig, they drew at the weekend, surprisingly. I think it was Freiburg who they drew to. So hopefully for Leipzig, they'll be kind of expecting to bounce back from this one, and especially away from home, they're quite a counter-attacking team. So maybe you'll see a 2 or 3-0 result here, but you can never tell with football. And then on to the 5 p.m. kickoff. We have FC Cologne versus Düsseldorf. Düsseldorf really still struggling. They got a point last weekend against Paderborn, but they're still struggling for form. And Cologne and Cologne as well, after losing their 2-0 lead after it looked pretty comfortable, will probably need to bounce back, and there'll be a bit more fire in their belly after they lost that 2-0 lead. So what does this mean from a fantasy perspective? Well, as mentioned before in my review, it wasn't the best of weeks that I had last weekend. Still learning a bit, a new league, the Bundesliga, but I really did get hit hard by 2 of my players, Knockout and Wendell. Not even playing Wendell on the captaincy spot, not even picking up any points was a bit disappointing. But I was really hit hard by the likes of Kimmich, Hakimi. Those guys at the back racked up so many points, at least a sort of 40 points combined with those two, which is over half of my score, so I really got hurt there. If we take a look at the goalkeeper, Timo Horn, really, he's going to keep his place for now. It's not a really pressing change that I need to make there, especially with Cologne playing Dusseldorf at the weekend. Hopefully they can pick up a clean sheet there, and maybe I can look to change them out in the future, as those 2 goals they conceded against Mainz, it was quite sloppy defending. It seems with the Bundesliga fantasy that you only get 3 transfers. I'm not quite sure whether it's 3 transfers per week. I assume it will be, as you're not allowed to take any minus hits either. So you're really you're restricted to those 3 transfers, but still having 3 transfers a week is quite nice. Then actually taking a look at the changes I'm going to be making, we're going to be looking at taking out Wendell, as 10.2 million for a player who doesn't even start is just a bit, it's a bit outrageous. So we'll be looking at taking out Wendell and Mukiele. Knocker will stay in there for a while. He costs 5.9 million, which is a bit of an awkward price. So hopefully in the next week I can move him around to maybe get a more expensive striker or midfielder. And then we're going to look at taking out Mukiele for Angelino. I had another look at this. Angelino's probably a player who I should have gone with from the start. He's cheaper than Mukiele, and if you look back past a few game weeks, apart from last week only really, he's been really racking up the double figures. And then Hakimi is just kind of a must-have. He's coming in for Wendell, and he's just been raking the points in throughout the season, and definitely should have had him in from the start. But yeah, that's what it's looking like in terms of the defence. And now let's move on to the midfield and forwards. So looking at the midfielders and forwards here, not too many changes to be made, as we have already made our 2 transfers in the defence. In order to bring in Hakimi, we had to kind of move the money around a little bit, and Kostic was a player who I decided I had to get rid of. 18.2 million. He looks good. He's got 304 points so far this season, and he's really he racks up the shots assisted, which do bring in a lot of points. However, this weekend they're playing Bayern Munich, and Frankfurt just didn't look that great at the weekend. So I've decided to take him out and bring in Nkunku, a player who's quite cheap, and for that sort of price bracket is really bringing in the points. He doesn't really score or assist too often, just brings in a lot of shots assisted and shots on goal, which do bring in the points. So he's been brought in, and looking at the top 3, I'm sticking with the top 3. Marcus Turan was a player who I would have liked to have taken out if I didn't have more pressing issues. Mönchengladbach playing Leverkusen, as mentioned previously, and in the game that I watched Mönchengladbach play at the weekend, Turan didn't really look too threatening. He got the goal, it was just a basic tap-in. Goal's a goal, brings in some nice points, but I'm not expecting him really to do that much against Leverkusen. Timo Werner and Erling Haaland are just going to stay in there for me. Werner bringing in plenty of points just from shots. And Haaland, well, he's great value for money. He's just going to keep banging them in. A player who I was looking at maybe taking out was Jadon Sancho, as he didn't even get a start of the weekend. However, I'm just kind of holding out and hoping that he will get the start, because if he does start, then he could definitely bring in quite a few points. Now I guess the next thing to consider is the captaincy option. Up front, we've kind of got 2 options in Timo Werner and Erling Haaland. I will definitely be racking my brain until the weekend or until Friday, trying to pick between those 2. Both have pretty decent fixtures. The Wolfsburg fixture does look a bit nicer, although Leipzig are very good away as well, so it may have to be Timo Werner again. Midfielders, most likely just going to stick on Gnabry again. I probably just don't want to run the risk of Sancho being benched, and so Gnabry, he had an okay game at the weekend, picked up 10 points without even scoring, and he didn't even look like he had that great of a game, but still 10 points for them not scoring means that he can only really go on and do better things hopefully at the weekend. And in terms of defenders, the captaincy choices I'm looking at are really good between Angelino and Hakimi this weekend. Hakimi kind of looks like the one to go for. If I had Kimmich, I definitely would be putting Kimmich in. But yeah, I think it's going to be Hakimi or Angelino. More leaning towards the side of Hakimi. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed. And if you want to see more content, I'll be posting another video tomorrow at 6 p.m. Join me then for another video, and I'll catch you in a bit.